Hey, this is Sharon with DesignerDIY, and today I'm going to show you how I made this cute pink Easter Bunny wreath. I'm using an evergreen wreath form, and I have 2 bolts of 10-inch mesh. I'm doing pink and natural, and I cut them into 24-inch pieces. I'm going to be using more pink than natural, so I'm going to do 2 pieces of pink, then 1 piece of natural, 2 pink, 1 natural. And I'm going to be doing this all around the outer edge of the wreath first, and then continuing on the inner side of the ring. I'm doing the ruffle method, so I am curling the edge of the mesh, then gathering it down the center, and then curling the last edge in. And I'm just twisting these directly into the pine. And like I said, I'm doing 2 pink and then 1 natural. I usually try to use about 10 pieces of mesh in the outer ring. So when we are adding ribbon into the outer ring, you know you have 10 groupings that you're going to need to make. I usually do 2 different groups of 2 ribbons. So you would just need 5 pieces of each of the ribbons. I hope that's not confusing. Hopefully the video will help it make sense. Right now I am just filling in the wreath form with mesh. And since this is a spring wreath, I don't want a lot of the pine showing, so I'm actually going around the outer edge and I'm just bending them a little bit shorter so that they're not peeking out past the mesh. And then if there are any spots that too much green is showing, I'm just going to add a couple extra pieces of mesh here and there to just make it really full. After I get the mesh in, my next step is ribbon around the outer edge. So I have 4 different ribbons. I cut them into 14-inch pieces, and I have 5 pieces of each of the ribbons. I have them organized into basically 2 different groups. So I'll take 1 of each from the first group, make an X, pinch it, and I twist it right into the outer ring of the wreath. I'm putting it right on top of where we added mesh. So I'll move to the next spot and I'll take 1 of each of the next grouping, make an X, pinch it, and I'll add that right in. And then after I add the ribbon in, I kind of pull it so the ribbon is all coming towards the outer edge of the wreath, and I fan them out. You'll do this all the way around, alternating your patterns. And then the next step is going to be adding in the bunny. I added a pipe cleaner going across the wreath form. That helps just anchor in the bunny to the wreath. I am putting in the bunny a little bit off-centered because I'm going to have 1 bow on the other side of the wreath. So I'm just using the pipe cleaner to get it twisted on. Here is the bow. I have other videos showing you how I make these bows. You can do it by hand or using an easy bow maker. So when you are adding in the bow, I kind of will lay it on. You just kind of decide what looks best and how to lay the bow on. Switch directions, see where the tail's gonna land. I don't really like the bow facing this direction, so I'm going to turn it and actually tie it in going the other direction, like this. So just kind of play with it. Everything depends on like what decor item you're using and what looks best with it. So I tied it in with wire, and now for the tail, I'm going to have it kind of cascading down the wreath, and I'm going to figure out what piece of pine I want to twist it into, and that's how I kind of make the size of this loop. And like I said, I'm just going to use the pine to twist it in. This wreath is going to end up with a lot of florals, so I'm not too worried about the pine showing too much. You can dovetail all the ends of the ribbon once it's in. That way you know what length to cut them. Now I have some strips of ribbon that I cut into 12-inch pieces that I'm going to be filling in the front ring with. This grouping is 2 1.5-inch ribbons. And then my next grouping has this floral print that's the same as in the bow, so I just have one grouping over here that has that ribbon in it, just to kind of have that ribbon flowing around the wreath. So I just have one grouping that's these two ribbons. The rest of my strips are all going to be the pink with the bunny print. And I'm basically just twisting these in anywhere where there is like a green empty space. I'm going to put a couple on the other side. And then my florals are basically going to cover everything else. So you twist in strips wherever you want. These again are 12-inch pieces. And you can just kind of place them wherever you need them. Now for my florals and greenery, I have 3 different types that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be cutting them up into a bunch of little pieces so I can scatter them around the wreath. So I have this bush here, tulips, and then these little greenery has little pink flowers. So from that bush I was able to get all of these different flowers from it. My technique for adding florals in is start with the biggest ones and work your way down to the smallest. So I grabbed the biggest ones, I kind of scattered them around the wreath. I usually try to do groups of 3, so I actually had an extra flower that I didn't use. And I kind of stick them in first and decide where I want them, and then I will go around and glue them in. So I'll take it out, I'll add glue to the stem. You can use a glue gun or a glue pot. This is me almost putting it in the wrong spot, but then I remembered to put it in the right spot. And I kind of wiggle it a little bit so it kind of grabs onto some mesh, ribbon, or greenery and kind of holds in place better. Next I have these ones. I'm going to be putting them around the bow and then one at the other side of the wreath. And then I have these roses. So I have 2 different sizes. Some of them I'm going to be clustering together, and then some of them I'll just place individually around. You just want to make sure they're kind of evenly spread around the wreath and not all like on one side. And then next I have these like wispy looking things. I'm not sure what they're called. Those I'm going to be placing basically like behind the bow so they peek out because they are taller, these things. So they just kind of add some longer pieces into it. Then I added in the tulips. I don't have a video of that because it was crazy going back and forth and bending all the branches into place. And then the last step is going to be this little greenery bush. I cut into a bunch of pieces and I basically just stuck them everywhere. This is the finished product. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Leave me a comment, and yeah, make sure you visit our website. The link is in the bio. We have tons of wreath making supplies and kits. Thanks for watching.